Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Spotlight in Business for January the 4th, 2023. I'm your host, Tammy Defoe, president and founder of GTApreneurs, and I'm so happy to have with me today, Veronica. She is an amazing portrait photographer, and she will be the guest speaker at GTApreneurs' next virtual networking event, which is Wednesday, January the 11th at 12 o'clock. We're going to learn more about her today, but come out to our event next week so you can learn a lot of great tips about how to do a great photo and also to meet other entrepreneurs. We'll put the links to register below. So welcome to the show today, Veronica. How are you?
Thank you very much, Tammy. I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Thanks. Thank you for coming today.
Of course.
Perfect. So tell us more about yourself.
Sure. So as you mentioned, I am a portrait photographer in Toronto, and I've been doing it professionally about 7 years. And before that, I've been just an amateur photographer as long as I remember. What I do is I help people, especially camera shy people, look and feel great in front of the camera.
Nice. Well,
that's in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds simple, and some people we just think, oh, well, they're just photogenic and I'm not photogenic, right? But I don't think it's that simple. I think that the photography you have makes a big difference.
Yeah, I like to think so. And it's a really interesting point about being photogenic, because that's what I hear a lot from my clients, that they would say, oh, I'm just not photogenic. I just don't take good photos. I don't know what to do with my hands,
Yeah.
and so on and so on. And I really think that I know that some photographers like to say that there are no photogenic people, there are only bad photographers, but I think it's true that some people are just, they like every photo is just great, but these are usually, these are exceptions. I think absolute most of people, they just don't like every photo of themselves, and that's totally fine. I don't think that the topic of being photogenic or not is actually even relevant. And the reason, the fact is that there is a way to make absolutely anyone love their photos. And I'm not talking about cases when, there is like more deep psychological issues like body dysmorphia and such, and they're absolutely valid. But if you take just a regular human, they would probably have some hard feelings about photography in themselves. And there's also a way to make sure that they will get photos that they love if you follow the right steps.
Awesome. Yeah. And so you have all your little tips and tricks, and you don't have to give them all away, right? And you're going to give us some next week at our event. But yeah, there is different ways to turn what might just be like an ordinary photo that doesn't get anyone's attention to something fantastic, right? And I think when we were talking before, we talked about how you never get a second chance to make a first impression, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And when people Google your name, like as a business owner, typically the first thing that comes up is going to be LinkedIn, or could be your website. And so when they open LinkedIn, for example, the first thing they see is your picture, right? So that matters, so people definitely need to be learning about you, about these different things. But first of all, tell us, how did you get into photography? Why did you decide to go into this field?
I think I didn't really decide. There wasn't like a big moment when I would say, oh, like, let me do this. I always have been a visual artist. My background is graphic design and illustration ever since high school. And I just did it for fun. And I was drawing people for fun during classes because I was bored. So it was always visual, and it was always about people. So it just naturally kind of transformed into photography. And when I moved to Canada in 2015, I decided to build my business here. And of course, from the moment when I decided to let me charge money from people to the moment when I actually made it into a business, it's been a journey. But I'm really glad that I embarked on it.
Awesome. Yeah. And I mean, it definitely is a journey for any entrepreneur. But, photos is something we all need, like, I know some people just want to say have a corporate logo and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, people prefer to do business with other people they feel
exactly.
They know, like, and trust, and people to look professional. So definitely having a great photo is something that people enjoy, right? Now, in addition to just the standard headshot like this, what are some other types of photos you can help people out with?
So under the umbrella of portrait photography, I guess it's worth clarifying what it is, because sometimes people are not sure and they say, oh, you're doing weddings. So weddings, I perceive it as a mixture of portraiture and event photography. So when I say portrait photography, it means that it's staged. And when I say staged, it's not necessarily like a person is put in a position and they hold an unnatural smile. This is not what we do, but it means that there is plan behind it, and there is there's a lot of thought behind it, as opposed to, let's say, event or just candid photography, when you basically just a fly on the wall and you taking photos, which is of course a genre of its own, and there's that in it as well. However, I do specialize in portrait photography, and the two direction that I have is personal and business. So when we think of business, a lot of times people think headshots, and they basically define any kind of business photography with headshots, but of course there is much more to it. And in recent years, we have a lot of people talking about personal brand photography. In a nutshell, this is a genre of portraiture that, not necessarily portraiture, it can also be products, it can also be environmental, but the goal is to tell the story behind your business. It's all about storytelling, because that's what connects people, what can really speak to people, and there are a lot of ways of how to tell your story. And another branch that I have is personal, which is family, beauty, couple photography for people, for their enjoyment. And a lot of times I think it's underestimated by people, because when we think about business, we think, oh, this is our marketing, this is going to bring us more money, this has value. But what is more valuable than your family, right? So to me, having this portrait on the wall, or having an album with photos that all are unique and beautiful, to me, honestly, it's even more value. But then everybody to each their own, right? So I have clients from both areas of life, and I'm really grateful to have this variety.
For sure. And, I mean, like ultimately business owners are still individuals, right? So, I mean, they may come to you for the business photography, but then at the same time, family photos, right? Or even
exactly.
Other events. Let's say if they're a real estate agent and they're having, like open house or something like that, right? And or if they have a sold sign, you can go with the sold sign or whatever. But or maybe someone's having any other type of event or whatever. So, but yeah, so it's good to know that you offer for both personal and business. And did you have some examples you wanted to show us?
Yeah, sure. Well, I also wanted to mention that my approach is really to extend my sessions. So a lot of times when people come to me for personal branding or any kind of business photography, they might not even think about taking photos with their kids or spouses. And then I will always ask them, well, you're going to be in the studio already, would you like your partner to join you? Or maybe like sometimes they will tell me like, oh, I'm going to be coming with my husband who will drop me off. I'm like, well, he's going to be there, like bring him in. Yeah, like how many professional photos of you and your partner do you have? So I find it very interesting that a lot of photographers will limit genres. So if we will do family, we will not do headshots, and vice versa. And I believe then, let's make the most out of it. And definitely I would love to share a session, one of my favorite sessions. Give me just a second.
And actually, by the way, I also wanted to mention that I love your photo. Okay. What you gave us for the event advertisements, I think it looks gorgeous. So
thank you very much. Well, I kind of have to, right? Like if you're a photographer, you really can't compromise on your own photos. And I think it's really important to not be a shoemaker without shoes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So one of the sessions, it's one of my favorites. I really love it. So this has been a part of my 40 over 40. This has been a type of session, that type of promotion. Sorry about that I've been running since last year. And so the goal here was to motivate women over 40 to focus on themselves, to just do something nice for themselves. And then they could really take this session into a lot of different directions. Most of it was just for fun, just for themselves to feel beautiful, which again, cannot be underrated. But then at the same time, some of them took it as an opportunity to bring their kid and have photos together. And also maybe to take some photos of for their business. So this lady in particular, she has a big passion. She's I have a word escape me. Boxing, sorry. Yes, she's into boxing, and this is like a big part of her life. So as we were brainstorming for a session, we were talking about different sides of her and showing her more feminine side. And then she mentioned boxing. And so I said, well, why don't you, bring your boxing outfit and let's do some photos, of that, because this is a big part of you and just a completely different angle. So that was a lot of fun because that was so meaningful for her to explore all sides of her personality, and also, make the most value out of this photo shoot. And I guess my favorite, and of course, having photos with her daughter, that was a big appeal.
Yeah.
And I guess one of my absolutely favorite photos from this shoot is this one, because as she was talking about how it's nice to feel feminine, and how she also has this big side of her, the boxer. And I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool to take a photo like in heels and in nice dress with boxing gloves? And that's what we did. And I think this captures her perfectly.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so I think you did, really brought that through beautifully, and especially the action shots. Actually, when you see her going into her thing, you can just see her face light up, right? So to have both those different types of pictures is great, and then also to combine them, so, and that's a lot of things people don't think about, right? Or just some people just don't have any creativity, that's not in their nature, and so they would never think about doing something like that, different poses, right? Or something that you're kind of showing fun, you're showing real life, as opposed to just a standstill photo. So that's why it's good to have someone like yourself, where you can kind of build a story, learn more about them, and then first of all, they see themselves come to light more, and then other people can actually really see them and get to know them. And if you're a business owner, this is important, because it can make the difference between someone deciding to pick up the phone and call you, or send you a message, or the person not. Right? You want to show that, because there's lots of people out there that, business, and then you can say, okay, well, this is a nice person, this is a nice person. But ultimately, it's good if you can find people who you really connect with. You kind of, the personality gels and stuff like that. So when you have a picture that kind of shows the person's personality, then first of all, I think for the business owner, that maybe you're going to attract more of the target market you want to reach. Right? Like if someone doesn't feel your vibe, that's fine. Well, then they can go with someone else, right? You want the people with you actually that
exactly, like what I
right?
always say. Yeah, what I always say is that if somebody doesn't want to work with you because of your age, shape, gender, color, anything about you that you can't and don't want to change, you probably don't want to work with those people either.
Right.
And there are so many people, like we can all talk about how community over competition and all that, and it's nice, and that's what I believe in. But at the same time, we have to be realistic, and we have to just admit that there is a lot of people who do exactly what we do and sell exactly what we sell. And so if there is something that sets us apart from the crowd, is that nobody else can be you, right? And so you might want to, to make yourself as much yourself as you can, because that's really your selling point, and that will attract the right kind of person.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're 100% right with that. Yeah, I remember when I was a financial advisor, several years back there, and that was one of the, questions people always ask, was say, what makes you different from every other financial advisor? Right. And it was kind of like, well, how do you answer that question? We provide this and that. Well, so does he, and such and such. And one of the managers, when he did a presentation, and, we kind of asked him, what do you say, people? He just says, me. Right. I'm the difference, because I care about my clients, and I, invested them right. I want to make sure they do a great, they get a good plan, and they get good progress with their finances. And he builds up bonds with them. So that's exactly true. Is obviously the quality of the work has to be there. They have to provide high quality products and services. But if you put two people side by side, then it's obviously preferable if you go to that one that you just really feel that connection with. And then, so if you have the photo, on your profile, LinkedIn, on your website, or wherever else you want to put your photos, and it just brings that across, and then someone connects, then I think it's better than just the standard old, smile.
Yeah, and it's nice. I find it really nice and interesting that most of people, even in corporate world, they really move away. I noticed that they've been moving away from the corporate look. So it's very rare that somebody would come to me and they say, I really want like a proper corporate shot. Everybody wants a little bit to be a little bit out of the box. So I think we're really moving into the direction of being more personable, being more unique, just being more kind of invited and motivated to just be more true to ourselves. So it's not uncommon that I would have people like in high positions and having, like tattoos and purple hair and all kind of things that really make them unique and make them stand out. And I really think that it's great.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome, right? But I mean, if someone just wants a standard corporate photo, I'm sure you can help them out with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do that too. I'm just saying, like, I don't get a lot
Yeah.
of requests like that. In any case, whenever a person comes to me, my goal is always to first listen, to ask questions, and to get the feedback of what they're looking for, because I can't assume. If somebody comes to me and they work in a bank, I can't assume that they want a corporate headshot. And if somebody works as a, I don't know, yoga teacher, I also can't assume what kind of yoga teacher they are. So I always will listen to what's important to them, and will be adjusting to that.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, look, I really look forward to having you speak at our event next Wednesday. If you out there have not registered yet, please do so. The link is below, and you get to hear Veronica. She's going to give a lot of great tips so you can make your photos better. And of course, it's networking. So you get to meet a bunch of other entrepreneurs, including Veronica, who, you know, may become your clients or referral partners. So you have a great day, Veronica, and we will see you next week.
Thank you very much, Tammy.